Timber. That's the sound of a tree falling to the ground. Wait, nope. Nope. Pride comes before the fall. It's Pride Month. Yeah, at least so they say. Could we maybe think about supporting a Democrat in the upcoming presidential race? Follow the money. There's got to be a price, right? Everything's got a price. Well, at least we know that about the PGA Tour. Indicted again. What does that mean? All that on this episode of Two Hands and a Foot. Welcome back. Thanks for stopping by. Before we get going, go ahead and click that like button, click that subscribe button, click that notification bell, and please share this with all your friends so that we can get more people supporting this channel. Now let's get into it. So June is apparently Pride Month. They've made it into Pride Month, and so there's a saying: "Pride comes before the fall." It's not actually the accurate quote. There's actually a biblical background for it. The verse says, "Pride comes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall." You may ask, well, what's a haughty spirit, Tom? Well, a haughty spirit is a spirit of thinking that you're better than someone else. So you've got pride, which comes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Both things aren't very good to have. And so we flaunt this month of pride. And honestly, it's a month about pride in sexual behavior. Why are we flaunting sexual behavior? First and foremost, I mean, we could get to the particulars of the types of sexual behavior all you want, but we're flaunting sexual behavior? I'm sorry. That's improper. That is absolutely improper, flaunting sexual behavior. There's a reason why desensitization is not a good thing. So we're flaunting sexual behavior, but not just sexual behavior, we're flaunting deviant sexual behavior. And we're putting up flags and saying this is normal. It's not. But we're talking about, say, pride, throwing it up in everybody's face, pride. And so whether or not you believe that if you're prideful, you're going to fall, you're going to succumb to destruction or what have you, regardless of that, why in the world are you flaunting anything? If you're genuine, you're genuine. And so I even caution myself when it comes to the things which, to use the word pride, the things in which I am proud. So, like children. Is it inherently wrong to be proud of your kids? Is it inherently wrong to be proud of your accomplishments? Is it inherently wrong to be proud of people that are doing a good example of what you taught them to do? I think proud is too narrow of a word. I feel joy when I see my children do something well. I feel accomplished when I think of what my parents do, having raised me and my brother, and then we go off to school and move off and do our own things. And 20 years later, my parents are having the time of their lives. And so I'm proud of that. So is that good? Well, it brings me joy. I am content in my accomplishments that I have done in my military career. I'm content in that. I'm extremely happy that the soldiers that I have taught have become not only leaders but good leaders and have reproduced good leaders who take care of their soldiers. So I'm immensely content with that. Pride seems too small of a word to describe the things that I feel about those things. And so it's okay to feel about things, but you don't see the blatant in your face, look at me, look at me, look at me, that Pride Month demands. Look at this. Is it out there? Sure. The 2LGBTQIA plus cosine dividends rounded pi times the square root of whatever category, however long that acronym now is nowadays. It changes by the day. But whatever that group wants, it's there, yeah, sure. But why are you needing a whole month out of it? Why do you need to flaunt for a month? We know it's out there. We don't need to flaunt it for a month. I got other things I can think of that are better to be proud of and to support than that for a whole month. So pride comes before a fall. We hear that, and that's the good catch-all phrase there. But pride comes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. So thinking you're better than everybody else who doesn't share your opinion, which is what the pride group does, and being flaunting about that behavior, which is what the pride group does. Okay. But if I tell you that you're going to trip over that log in front of you and you snub your nose at me and then you trip and fall, it's going to be an I told you so. So I don't think we need a whole month of it. We don't need a whole day of it. Keep it to yourselves. There's no need to flaunt sexual behavior, regardless of what you think of right, wrong, or indifferent. There's no need to flaunt sexual behavior. None at all. So moving on. Could I really support a Democrat in the upcoming presidential race? Well, there's a couple of Democrats that are already putting their hat in for the primary against Joe Biden, going against Joe Biden. One of whom you should be familiar with the name. Kennedy. Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. I don't know a whole lot about him, except for I've listened to a couple of speeches and discussions with him in the last couple of days. And the most impactful one that I have heard so far is the one that he had with Jordan Peterson. And so go ahead and watch that. The description has the link for that. So go ahead and watch that. And the thing that the Democrats don't like about him is he's what they would call a moderate, not in step Democrat, because he is against, the mandatory vaccinations. He's not that awful climate change, thrust, ideology upon. He is for the Second Amendment. He doesn't like the economic policies that are going into play, and so the the fact that we have a logical thinking Democrat who is willing to speak out and challenge the man currently occupying the White House for the party's nomination for president. I think that's pretty refreshing. Now, do I agree with some of his moral stances? Being a Democrat? No. But I would venture to say that he, if I were a big enough celebrity, he would sit down and have a civilized discussion with me. He would. I think he would. Having seen his discussions with other people, I think he would actually sit down and have a civilized discussion with me. Shake my hand, have a cup of coffee, and talk about life. I think he would. And I think even on the things that we would disagree, I think he would be willing to have a civilized discussion about it. I don't think he would yell. He wouldn't call me names. And that's refreshing. And what I think is more shocking is that that's not very common. Not very common that you don't have a lock-in-step Democrat. It's not very common. And so I like that about him. Now, I asked, could I really support a Democrat in the upcoming presidential race? He hasn't shown me that he deserves my vote yet. Nice guy, but I lean towards more of a conservative nature, especially when it comes to morals. So, but I think that I would enjoy sitting down and talking with him. I think I would. I think I could actually learn something from him. I'd be willing to sit down and talk with him and discuss life. I mean, you can hear all the bad stories you want about both his father and his uncle, but he's there. I want to hear from him about anything he wants to talk about his family. So, I think it'd be kind of cool. So, Robert Kennedy Jr., if you're out there and you somehow come across this video, reach out. I would love to chat with you for a while about whatever and anything in between. I think it'd be kind of cool. I like you. You're a pretty cool guy. So I think I wouldn't vote for a Democrat yet, but he comes close to a guy that actually has a somewhat sound foundation on things. He may disagree morally on some issues, but how we go about it, I think the procedural wise, I think he's squared away on things. So I like that about him. So again, Jordan Peterson has an awesome discussion with him. It's a little lengthy for those of you who have short attention spans. It's a little over an hour long. But it's well worth the watch. I always love Jordan Peterson's side bit there. I love Jordan Peterson, and I love learning from him. But this discussion with RFK Jr. Was really, really good. So go ahead and listen and watch that. So here's a note from our sponsor. You thought we had a sponsor. That would have been cool if we would. We don't have enough followers to have sponsors yet. So what I'm asking is this. You can help change that. You can help change that by liking my videos, by subscribing to them if you haven't subscribed to them yet, but also by sharing these videos. So if you share these videos with your friends and say, hey, tag along with two hands and a foot, the more we can get that out. And hey, who knows, one day maybe I can have some sponsors on here and we can get this thing rolling big time. But until then, this is your commercial. So now back to our regularly scheduled program. So the PGA Tour. The PGA Tour. I didn't know. I didn't know it would go this far. But I knew that something was going to change. With the split of a lot of these high-name guys going from PGA to LIV Golf. And the way that LIV Golf did things. And on an earlier podcast episode, I mentioned that if you want to talk human rights, then get all of the U.S. out of the Middle East. Not just bark about the guys going over for Saudi money when Saudi was, human rights violations. Well, then get all of U.S. stuff out of Saudi. If not, then you have no skin in the game, so to speak. But that being said, the reason why the players went to LIV was not just for the money, but because the PGA Tour was a monopoly and controlled all of the golfers' lives, and so they had no real say in how they were managed, because there was nowhere else to go for options. And so as a result of the players going over to LIV Golf, PGA Tour made some changes in their schedule and in their pay and stuff like that. And so that's called free market. But they just merged with the PIF, which is, the people funding LIV Golf, and the DP World Tour. And now the three tours are together, so to speak, but not really. And you've got all these reactions to it. Hey, this is good for the game of golf. To Rory McIlroy saying, I understand why it's there, but I still hate LIV Golf, and I hope it goes away soon, and all this stuff. And Jay Monahan being accused of being a hypocrite. All this stuff. And you wonder, the almighty dollar. Hey, we weren't. The PGA Tour wasn't struggling because they still had some $20 million purses in there, but, not everyone was guaranteed money. And so, if you, with the top 10, yeah, you got some good money in there. Top 20, maybe, whatever. But, you had to work. Now these guys are getting sign-on bonuses and $100 million deals, with LIV Golf. And so you have all that to consider, but money talks. So if you're really convicted over the human rights violations, if you're really convicted, have a really huge conviction over the human rights violations, then you should not have ever thought about, considered, or even took a meeting on a merger. There's no, or you say, hey, yeah, I'm a hypocrite. Money talks. And the billions of dollars that are just in LIV Golf are now flooding over into the PGA Tour. And who knows what next will happen. Who knows? They're talking about possible penalties to get their PGA Tour cards back for those players that went over. You've got guys like, Brooks Koepka, who won one of the big four tournaments. One of the, and so, and other guys being successful with those tournaments. And so, it's starting to get interesting, but money talks. Follow the money. I can't imagine billions of dollars. But so at what actual price did it cost the PGA Tour to do this? I am not for the PGA Tour bad-mouthing the LIV golfers. Shut up. You play in Saudi all the time. You play in all those other Middle East countries. You have your tournaments over there. Just because you're not getting direct money from them doesn't mean squat. So stop making bad remarks about the people that went over to LIV. But on the same token, yeah, you've got that to consider. That Saudi Arabia, as well as other countries in the Middle East, are accused of human rights violations. So my point in all of this is stand your ground. Stand your ground. A Toronto Blue Jays pitcher, off the top of my head, Bass. He just got designated for assignment, which means basically fired, from the Toronto Blue Jays, even after apologizing for his mistake. So if you're gonna be penalized anyway for making a statement, standing your ground, so to speak, or stating your convictions, then state your convictions and take the punishment. Don't state your convictions, fake apologize, and then you're still going to get the punishment anyway. You might as well not apologize. I don't think he was wrong, but you might as well not apologize if you know that eventually you're going to end up getting relieved of your duties because of what you said or what you did. Personal accountability for your actions. Be willing to suffer the consequences. Yes, we have a freedom of speech in this country, but that does not mean that we have freedom from consequences. Sometimes those consequences aren't merited by your speech. That still doesn't mean that they can't do anything negatively to you. You have to be prepared to stand up for what you believe in. And if LIV Golf is something you didn't believe in, PGA Tour, don't take the time to consider any offers. But I did say that LIV Golf was going to change golf, and it's doing so. It's doing so. So we'll see where it goes from here. Indicted again. Indicted again.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
I have to laugh. I have to laugh. I was reading an article today. They're talking about the reactions on both the Republican side and the Democrat side. The Republicans are rallying, and the Democrats are going, no one is above the law. Okay. Let me sum up. What President Trump did was perfectly allowable under the law. He was the president of the United States. He's allowed to declassify documents. He did so. He had them in a locked environment. End of story. Vice President Biden. Not just him, but any vice president is not allowed to do that. Period. But no one is above the law. They were found next to his car, in his garage, in a couple of closets, and some offices, and then some houses, and all that other good stuff. But no one is above the law. Double standard much? Hypocrite much? Something's got to change. Someone's got to police the Department of Justice. We got to figure out how that gets accomplished, because that is who's protecting the Biden family. And the deep state of criminals that the Democrats have paraded out these last 10, 12, 16, 20 years. From a pedophile going on a jet down to meet and have sex with minors, to a bribery taking BS artist who can't complete a coherent sentence, and everyone in between. Criminals. Yet, they're going after President Trump. Why so? Again, I've said this before in a previous podcast, that because they want Trump to be the nominee, so that they can do to him again what they did to him in the 2020 elections. They can't do it against DeSantis. They can't do it against Nikki Haley, Tim Scott. They can do it to Trump again, and the nation would believe it, so to speak. Or the media would be able to get away with spouting that foolishness again. So, indicted again. I I don't know if I have ever, even the history that I know, have I ever seen a political hunting on this scale before. I don't think I've experienced it in my lifetime, but I don't think I can recall anything in history close to a political hunting as this is happening. So we'll see. We'll see where this indictment goes. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, as I don't think any of the other indictments are going to go anywhere. I just think it is a drag that the legacy media and the Democrat Party are going to keep parading out there to keep on the forefront of everybody's mind, so that as they presume, or if as they presume, Trump gets the nomination for the Republican presidential candidate, that they can do to him again what they did to him in 2020, and then go, see, all of these bad things are why nobody really wanted to vote for him, instead of the truth. So we'll see how that plays out. We'll see how that goes. We have a long way to go and a short time to get there, as the song goes. But that's all I have for today. So everything that we've talked about is linked in the description. Go ahead, give that a look over. And on top of that, I'll catch you on the flip side.